It's a very good afternoon. Welcome once again to Galaxy Radio Flora. And this is a show that we call The Vote. And we do this each and every Sunday, talk to different guests from different parts of the world. But I've always got one person who's a regular on this show. I've got Chief Svosve. Chief, how are you?
How are you, Tafadzwa? Greetings to all the listeners around the world.
hmm And Chief, just to ask you a lighter question, how you been keeping? How's been the start of the year?
It has been good. It has been good, but we are in the USA and
Mm,
things are not the same anymore.
mm, mm, mm. Okay. So, Chief, let's start off our conversation. I want to talk about the hot topic currently at the moment, which is happening in Zimbabwe. To someone who's listened to this thing for the first time and they want to understand, just tell us about the proposed and the so-called amendments, of the constitution that want to be made and which were approved by cabinet just recently. Can you just give give someone summarize what are those amendments?
Yes, I'll just do it from a layman's
Mm,
point
mm, mm,
of view. I'm not a
mm,
legal person.
mm,
I'm speaking as an ordinary Zimbabwean citizen. Yes, Tafadzwa, it's a very sad story in our history as Zimbabweans, because if you remember, some years back in 2000, we voted for a new constitution,
mm,
and a new constitution was put in.
mm,
Of course, most of the things that we voted for were never aligned
mm,
or implemented in the new constitution, but a few were. And now those things that we voted for back then in 2000 have now been brought back. One of the bigger issues is the issue of the term limits for the president. Now ZANU-PF has come up with this bill that removes completely the term limits for the president. And when they started as a ZANU-PF resolution, it was just a resolution, a party resolution to extend Mr. Mnangagwa's term by 2 years to 2030.
mm,
But this bill has done more than that. It means we are going to go, Mnangagwa can easily go for 7 years without elections in Zimbabwe. And furthermore, something that was fought for, that we fought for during the liberation struggle,
mm,
that every man, every woman must be allowed to vote for the candidate that they want.
mm,
That part has been removed.
mm,
Now, Zimbabweans cannot vote for their president.
mm,
The members of parliament that they would have voted for have now been given the powers to elect or to vote for the president, which means all Zimbabweans will never be able to vote for a president of their choice.
okay,
So this is sad.
okay. Chief, you're in the diaspora, right? So from a diaspora perspective, you understand, these amendments, what do these mean to even somebody who's in the diaspora?
Uh, Zimbabweans that are in the diaspora are Zimbabweans.
Mhm,
They are affected in the same manner as Zimbabweans that are in Zimbabwe. Most Zimbabweans that are here, they are here not because they want to be here. If the situation changes in Zimbabwe, people would want to be back in their countries. And I'm one of those people who would be in Zimbabwe today if things were okay. But people are here because of what ZANU-PF has done to the
mm,
country, what ZANU-PF has done to them in
mm.
terms of human rights abuses,
Okay,
in terms of economic collapse.
okay, okay,
So we are affected in the same manner. We
okay.
want to vote, we want to exercise our vote as, uh,
Mm, mm,
as enshrined in the Constitution.
mm. So, follow up, how are the Zimbabweans in the diaspora reacting to these amendments that have taken place? Are people mobilizing? Are people wanting to do protests? Are people wanting to do marches? Or Zimbabweans in the diaspora seem to not really care about the amendments? What's your own perspective about the reaction of the Zimbabweans in the diaspora?
They are affected. They are very angry. I've seen it online. People are enraged. People are disappointed that this is where we have gone. We are going back 20 years ago. instead of moving forward, instead of the Zimbabwean government giving voting rights to the Zimbabweans in the diaspora, introducing the diaspora vote. They're taking the little that was there, the little that hundreds and thousands would travel to Zimbabwe for.
So, Chief, the question is, I just want to understand the reaction of Zimbabweans in the diaspora. How are they reacting?
This just happened, Tafadzwa, a few days ago. People are in shock. You must understand, people are in shock, but what the feeling is, people are mobilizing, people are going to do protests. I also know that there are going to be petitions. There's going to be a very big petition that will be circulated everywhere in the world. People sign, and it is presented to world organizations like the UN, the American government, the UK government, the EU, and the SADC, and also the African Union.
Okay. Zimbabweans in the diaspora always send remittances back home to Zimbabwe to support their families. With these constitutional amendments, do they have any impact?
There's no impact because we have always been seen as cash cows by both the opposition and the Zimbabwean government. And I know a lot of people don't want me to say that, but that's the truth. The people in Zimbabwe only talk to us, only reach out to us when they need money. The same applies with the Zimbabwean government. We have been keeping the government afloat by our remittances. We are the biggest foreign currency earner in Zimbabwe, overtaking tobacco, overtaking farming, overtaking everything else. But we are never consulted when it comes to important issues like this. Even now, they are going to begin a process of public hearings for 90 days. I can bet you my bottom cent, the diaspora will not be consulted. Nobody is going to be sent here so that they can hear our feelings. But we are not happy about this.
Okay. Chief, do you believe that these amendments will weaken or strengthen the relationship between Zimbabweans in the diaspora, according to how Zimbabweans in the diaspora will literally act towards Zimbabwe?
If you are happy about this situation, if you are smiling right now, then I don't know how Zimbabwean you are. Every patriotic Zimbabwean should be said. Who should be smiling? Who should be happy when your voting right has been taken away? It was a very little voting right because there was no diaspora vote. But still, I know, because I'm one of them, I know thousands were still flying to Zimbabwe to go and exercise their vote and vote for their president. But now that has been taken away. So I don't see anyone being happy about that. So the relationship is only going to be more acrimonious.
But also, Chief, don't you think there's also like voter fatigue among Zimbabweans? Because of late, Zimbabweans haven't been really participating in elections, especially the Zimbabweans in the diaspora.
I don't know, but as far as I know, we have been voting. People have been voting. It's a national duty to vote. So I don't know if we can say there's been voter fatigue. Yes, we know that elections have been rigged. ZANU-PF has been manipulating elections, but that should not stop any national from voting. We should still continue to go and vote and come up with ways of safeguarding our votes and making sure that our votes are safe.
Chief, just your own estimate. In the last election, you just try and give me a percentage. In your own estimate, this is your own personal estimation. What do you think a percentage figure of Zimbabweans that went back to actually participate in the last elections?
I think 20% or 25% of Zimbabweans in the diaspora, of course, the biggest number coming from Africa, especially South Africa, Botswana, Zambia, Mozambique. I know a lot of people were traveling. Some were not traveling to go and vote, but I know a lot of people were actually going to go and vote and also help as election agents or in the election process.
Yeah, but if you give an estimate of about 20%, that number is too few. What can also now be done to even say, to increase the number, to even increase to about 50, 60%, 70% of Zimbabweans in the diaspora to participate in the elections? Because one way or the other, as you said, you remain a Zimbabwean, and everything that will happen will always affect a Zimbabwean. So, what do you think should be done to increase Zimbabweans to go and participate in elections?
I don't even want to talk about that, Tafazwa, because it's 7 years before Zimbabweans can go and vote with this new bill. I'm enraged. I'm angry. Every Zimbabwean should be angry. So right now, the mobilization that should be going on is to ensure that this bill doesn't go through. And Zimbabweans need to express their anger. They need to speak out. Every Zimbabwean need to speak out. It's not the time to point a finger at anyone. People just need to speak out as citizens that have been whose voting rights have been taken away.
Okay. Chief, you're not a legal expert, neither I am, but just listening to some legal experts, it seems the avenue for Zimbabweans to take to block this amendment, the window is so little. And if any, what do you think Zimbabweans should be able to do, or what legal avenues can be taken if you know something that you think Zimbabweans should do to stop this constitutional amendment?
We have 90 days. That's a lot of time. If we organize, if we mobilize, that's a long time. It takes only a day or two for any big decision like that to be overturned. We need to come together. We need to unite as Zimbabweans and voice our opinion. Petition is one of the things that people can do. When the petition is put out there, Zimbabweans look at it and then they don't sign. We need numbers, Tafazwa. Let me explain this part. Uh, for petitions to work, you need to hit the 100,000 number threshold. If you hit 100,000 signatures, no country, no organization will ignore that. But most of the petitions that I've seen being done or that have been done before, we never reach that magic number. If we can get to 200,000, 300,000, even more, even the United Nations will be forced to intervene, and all the other governments and organizations, SADC, AU. When we have a big number of people that have signed a petition, they will be forced to make official statements and intervene. So that's what I'm calling upon all Zimbabweans to do. When that petition is out, let's do something.
Okay, Chief, my understanding is this 90-day, and that bill has to go through public hearing. But as far as I'm concerned, the public hearing that will be conducted, the public does not have a say, whether they like it or they don't like it. Then the bill it will then go to parliament, right? After this, the whole 90-day, the bill will then go to parliament. And once parliament approves it, it is done. So literally, the ordinary citizens in the public hearings seem to not even have a voice.
But there's 90 days. There is 90 days.
Yeah,
those
but
90 days
within
are
those
critical.
90 days, how do you stop it? How do you block it?
You protest, you petition, you write, you phone, you make phone calls, you do everything that you can. Every Zimbabwean should have a part to play. If you don't want to go and protest, can you say you can't sign a simple petition? There is something for everyone. So if we are going to fail, let's fail when we have tried. I want to see us failing when we've managed to reach 100,000 signatures on the petition. If we don't get to 100,000 signatures, Tafazwa, I don't even want to hear anyone, any Zimbabwean, saying there are people that sold out, there are people that did this and that, there are people that, ZANU-PF did this to us. If we haven't done our part, if we fail to sign a simple petition, then we have no one to blame. We should be blaming ourselves as well, because everyone should play a part, and that part is being provided. Just like Geza did, he provided a platform for people to go and protest, but people decided not to join him. When he said, "Let's get in the streets and protest," people decided to stay home. When he said, "Let's have a national shutdown," people ignored him and they flooded the streets and they went on with their daily business. And it was an opportunity for people to go and protest.
Okay.
In this 90-day period, we are being given yet another opportunity to show that we are not happy about this situation. A petition, nobody will be killed signing a petition. Nobody will be abducted signing a petition. It's simply signing a petition online.
Okay.
Why would you not do that?
Okay. Chief, now let's look. There's always been an issue of trying to get the diaspora vote, and this hasn't been happening for a long time. Now with this amendment, what are the chances now that even they will agree to a diaspora vote? What are the chances? Do you think they will agree to a diaspora vote?
Whether they agree or not, but the push should always be there. Diasporans need their right to vote. They are Zimbabweans. There's no one who is more Zimbabwean than other Zimbabweans. Zimbabweans in the diaspora are not special. Equally, Zimbabweans in Zimbabwe are not special. So we are all Zimbabweans. We should be given our right to vote.
One important thing, Chief, is the issue of access to information, right? Do you believe or do you think Zimbabweans in the diaspora have got access to the transparent and clear information, which is very factual and correct? Do people in the diaspora you think they really have that information on their fingertips? Or they have it, or people decide to be arrogant or ignorant? What do you think?
Yeah, both of those that you said are very true about Zimbabweans. The information is out there. We have radio stations like yours that tell people the truth. We have changed radio. Now I know that there's been another radio station that was launched, Resistance Radio. People don't follow those radio stations. They don't listen to those radio stations. That's the nature of Zimbabweans. They don't follow things that matter. But when some socialites are doing something about Makua or things like this and that, you see 100,000 people following that page or on that page or on that live. And so at the end of the day, they end up not getting the information that they need. But yes, we need to do more in terms of giving people information. But these platforms and other platforms that I didn't mention, they give authentic and true information to Zimbabweans. But sometimes Zimbabweans look elsewhere. They are interested in other things, not their country.
Okay. Chief, what influence do people in the diaspora here have? What influence can the diaspora community have to either lobby the government, petition the government, or do anything regarding this amendment? What influence can the diaspora play? What do you think Zimbabweans in the diaspora should do to influence the resistance to this amendment of the constitutional amendment?
We have the power. We just don't realize that we have so much power as diasporians. Zimbabwe has been kept going by the people in the diaspora. There was a time that we did not have any foreign currency in Zimbabwe. That foreign currency to buy goods and commodities, raw materials, and so forth, since we are not producing anything in Zimbabwe, was coming from the diaspora. What stops us from coming together, uniting, and just telling the government that we are no longer remitting to our money to the government, and we just stop for a month? I'm telling you, that has a huge impact because we are emitting millions, hundreds of millions per month that is received in Zimbabwe. I know people will be saying those are our relatives that will be killing, but that's the nature of the struggle. There has to be some kind of sacrifice. You prepare in advance, and then we just say, you know what, this month, August or July or June, we are not sending any money to Zimbabwe until our concerns are addressed. Why is Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwean government, taking 90 days to go around the country and talking about this bill? But there's nothing about the diaspora. There's never been any consultation ever since by the Zimbabwean government when it comes to political issues. They only come here when they want money, when they want to talk about stands, and we are going to give you loans. We're going to give you loans to build in Zimbabwe. That's when they come because they want the money. But when they need ideas, when they need to hear what we think about our country, they never come. So let's exercise our power. We have the power as diasporians.
Chief, how effective are diaspora campaigns in the diaspora in regards to resisting this amendment than those on the ground in Zimbabwe? Do you think people in the diaspora, women in the diaspora, their campaigns can have so much impact to influence the resistance of the amendment of those constitutional presidential terms in Zimbabwe?
Yes, there is a lot. We have a lot of room to influence decisions. I've been here. We have had very, very powerful demonstrations, some that we did even at the United Nations. UK, I know at some point they were doing demonstrations every week. So if we reorganize ourselves, the unfortunate part, Tafadzwa, the truth of the matter is people are demoralized. People are down right now. And that's why you're not seeing any demonstrations anyway. But we need to regroup. We need to gather ourselves, and we need to stand up for ourselves and defend our sovereign right. It is our right to vote, and we need to fight for that.
We understand there's a group that is Defend the Constitution group that has been there, I think, for the past 2 or 3 months. What is there any connection with them working either with Zimbabweans in the diaspora, or there's the Zimbabweans in the diaspora working with this group, the group that is Defend the Constitution group? Is there any connection? Are there any Zimbabweans working with those? Would you have any idea?
I know they reached out to a number of people in the diaspora. I don't know how far they've gone in penetrating the diaspora, conscientizing the diaspora. But that's something that people should just do without being conscientized, without being called upon to do, because we are talking about your right to vote. You need to stand up for that. People got killed, people get killed, people have gone to war so that they get that right to vote. And if that right to vote is being threatened or has been taken away, every patriotic citizen should go out there and do something to ensure that their right to vote is restored. So I applaud those that are doing that. I know it's a number of Zimbabweans that are leading that. It's their democratic right to do that, and I actually applaud them for playing that part and playing that role.
Chief, besides social media campaigns, we all post on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, right?
Yep.
Besides social media, besides petitions, is there another thing that the Zimbabweans in the diaspora could do, you understand, to really have an influence and impact towards those amendments?
Yes, there is a lot. Just writing on social media, Tafazwa, it's
so besides the social media and the petition, is there another action that you think can be taken?
There is a lot. The protest is one of them. There is no reason why people in Germany cannot go and protest. You are allowed to protest. The German law allow you to protest. In America too, in the UK, in Australia, in Europe, in South Africa, just next to Zimbabwe, people can shut down the border if they want to. Those initiatives have been done before, so that they just express themselves, express what they're feeling. That all those are options that the people in the diaspora have. We just need to organize ourselves, be united, and know that this is our rights that are being taken away. And if we don't defend them, if we don't fight for our rights, more rights will be taken away. That's what dictators do. If you give them an inch, they will take a foot.
Okay, Chief, how can the diasporans engage in constructive engagement in order to stop this thing from happening, these amendments from happening? How can the diasporans engage in a constructive manner so that at the end of the day, we all realize what Zimbabweans want to resist the amendments?
We need to come together. There has to be a unity of purpose. We need to do away with petty politics. We need to do away with politics of hate. We need to do away with factional politics, and we need to do away with party politics itself, because this is this has nothing to this transcends party politics. This is about us as a nation, as a people. So we need to come together as Zimbabweans and do something. You talked about a lot of things: education, educating the people, conscientizing the people, making sure that the people of Zimbabwe know what is at stake, know what is going on. You can do that by distributing flyers, producing posters, T-shirts, penarafia, everything that you can, and send it to Zimbabwe or produce it in Zimbabwe, and make sure that people have access to information, people have access, know exactly what the government is trying to do, that their rights are being taken away. A lot of people don't even know that. A lot of people think the extension of the term is about projects, like what ZANU-PF is telling people, that ZANU-PF has not finished its planned projects and they want 2 years to finish them. That's not about it. It's not about it. It's about entrenching their power and extending their rule, extending the corruption that we've seen, and everything else. We need to educate people. We need to reach out to people and let them know all these things.
Okay. So just recently, the late Comrade Geza passed away, and we knew he was fighting to do to stop a lot of things, especially issues of corruption and everything. But something would happen and would stop, because I remember when Geza called for a protest, Nelson Chamisa went on to say to people, we are not going to be involved in this protest because this is an external, they are internal fights, and we're not good. We're not going to be hoodwinked onto this protest, and things like that. They stop Zimbabweans being united and coming together.
I don't know about that. I never saw anything like that. I think you misinterpreted what he wrote and what he said.
I never misinterpreted. I can go and I can copy this post for you from his own Facebook page, because he clearly said, we are not going to participate in this protest because this is an ZANU-PF internal fight. We are not going to be, but Comrade Geza seemed to be addressing the issue of corruption. And you're saying, let's fight against corruption.
I don't think he ever used the word "we." That's why I'm saying there's a lot of misinterpretation.
No, I'm looking at the post right now, as I'm talking to you right now. So I've got the post, and I'll share it to you. Anyway, Chief. So one of the biggest problems that I've been realizing, and the biggest problem in Zimbabwe, is the issue of there are so many factional fights, and disunity, and whether we want to believe it or not, Chamisa, as an opposition person, seems to have the most of the opposition following. But again, as he has got most of this of the followers in Zimbabwe, right? He also seems not to be fighting against the issue of the amendments of the constitution, because ever since this thing is done, all his posts have never addressed or literally addressed the issue of the amendments that have been done. Why do you think so? Because you are a very strong Chamisa supporter, and I'm putting this across to you, because the constitution will affect you, to affect me, to affect Chamisa himself.
Those are the things that we are saying, Tafazwa, we have to do away, and people like you should not be perpetrating things like that. You should be telling people the truth.
No, I'm not perpetrating, Chief. Let's not be defensive.
Because what you're saying, what you're saying is not true. Let me respond.
Wait, just hold on. No.
Because what you said is not true. And I want to prove to you that it's not true.
What did I say is not true?
You said he is not saying anything about 2030. He's not doing anything, and he's telling people not to take. Remember,
ever since that thing was signed, you understand? Yes. I want you to pull out, go to Nelson Chamsa's tweets and his Facebook post, and I want you to just point to me that here he addressed it. He has never said anything, and I've been following people on social media to say.
But do you remember Chamisa's famous speech at the dinner where he said, zvekumba kwenyu ndezvekumba kwenyu, zvezanu-PF ndezvezanu-PF, hazvisi zvenyika. Hakuna chichazoitwa ichocho chokuti munoti zvezanu-PF zvakuenda kuparliament. Hazvipase, hazviite, vana veZimbabwe vacharamba. He said that I can even send you the video.
No, but Chief.
Wasn't that against 2030?
Chief, you know what I'm only trying to address? I'm only trying to address the issue to say, this is the time where Zimbabweans have to come together and people remove their egos, you understand? And people work together for a common cause and purpose. We know Chamisa commands the most followers in Zimbabwe, although his numbers of late have dropped, but this is the time when Zimbabweans have to come together. And I've been looking at all these political commentators, and I've been going through their posts, and I've been following both. I've been wanting to understand what these guys, how are they addressing this, and what are they deciding to do, And it's so sad that as someone like Chamisa, who commands a huge following, seems to not be addressing that issue, or seems not to be wanting to work with other people to say, let's work together, guys, to address this issue. But it's going to affect you, it's going to affect me, it's going to affect him, it's going to affect every other Zimbabwean. You are a very staunchy Chamisa supporter. And I know I asked you this question and you will not be comfortable with it.
No. I'm comfortable. I'm a Democrat. I'm a Democrat, and I am a supporter of democracy. I'm not a supporter of an individual. If I'm supporting him, it means he is doing something that has to do with democracy, and that's where it ends. It's not about the personality. But what I'm just saying is, it is not true. Instead of pointing fingers at one another, we should be uniting. You should be coming together and doing this together, rather than picking on individuals. And in any case, Tafadzwa, the people of Zimbabwe, that's one big mistake that we make. We are looking for a liberator, but liberators do not exist. Chamisa is not a liberator. Job Scala is not a liberator. Tendai BT is not a liberator. Whoever is Jacob Ngaruvume is not a liberator. Liberators do not exist. That's what Che Guevara says. The people must liberate themselves, and the opportunity is there for the people to do something themselves. We cannot wait for one person. People want to see one person getting in the street and saying, "Now let's come, let's protest." Revolutions do not work like that. When the Mozambicans went into the streets and flooded the streets of Mozambique after the elections had been rigged, the leader wasn't even there. He wasn't even there. He was in South Africa.
So, Chief, one of the biggest problems I've observed in Zimbabwe is, number one, we do personality politics. We're all about personalities, whether in politics, whether in area. Number two is there's the issue of labeling. If you speak anything negative about Chamisa,
that's exactly what you were doing.
Wait.
You were labeling him.
No.
And you were labeling me.
No.
You were doing the same thing that you are saying we should not be doing.
That's not labeling. I'm saying, Chief, labeling is if anyone speaks anything negative about Chamisa, you're labeled as a ZANU-PF project. If you speak anything bad about ZANU-PF, you're labeled as you're being used by the West. Why is it that Zimbabweans, we're not tolerant to each other to say, if I say, Chief, you didn't do well here, you understand? We say, okay, that is your observation. And maybe, Chief did not do well. And if Chief does well, we say, no, Chief here does well. How come we can't have that attitude whereby people seem not to be... I feel like Zimbabweans have not been given the capacity to express either their positive comments or their negative comments towards any leader, be it ZANU-PF, be it opposition, be it Chamisa, be it Scala. The moment you just put a negative comment, it all comes in with labeling. What do we do about removing that issue of always labeling people when people doesn't speak anything that you want to hear?
Yeah, that's why I was saying we need to do away with politics of insults, politics of hate, and come together as Zimbabweans. Let's stop pointing fingers at one another, whether it's Chamisa or anyone or Chief Svosve or Tafadzwa. Let's stop pointing fingers at one another. Let's do what we need to do, uniting as Zimbabweans and fighting for the things that are worthy fighting for. Right now, we have been gotten in a situation by ZANU-PF where we are fighting each other instead of fighting ZANU-PF. You know, I know what that is called. It's called social engineering. ZANU-PF they rearrange people's emotions, you know, by their strategies, and people end up getting angry against one another instead of getting angry against the perpetrator of their suffering, who is ZANU-PF. Right now, people will be angry. They spend time attacking Chamisa, you know, like what you're doing right now.
No,
You're
I'm not.
attacking him, you're attacking me.
I'm not.
But that's
Chief,
that's not
Chief,
how it should be.
we've come back again to say the moment you don't speak anything positive about Chamisa, you've already labeled and said you're attacking. It's not an attack, but it's a piece of view. This is why
But
I'm saying.
how do you think he feels, or
No,
the
no, no,
people
no,
that
no, no, no.
support him? They
Chief,
feel when
Chief,
you are saying
Chief,
when
you
you're
spoke,
saying things that are not true
Chief,
about him.
Chief, you spoke about democracy. You spoke about democracy. You're in America, where people can speak either good or bad about Donald Trump. And it is a view. It is anyone's personal view. It doesn't mean if you're a leader, people should always speak good about you. Let people have their own personal opinions, you know. But
Okay.
it's someone's opinion, and we should stop saying you're labeling him or you're saying he's not a good guy. No, it's my own personal opinion. It's my own personal view, you know. That's why there's a saying that says, if
I
another
got
man's
you.
meat, if that's why someone says, if another man's meat is another man's poison. So let's stop this issue of saying you only want to hear the good thing, but you refuse to hear the shortfalls. Was remember, in every action there's a reaction. In order for us to have electricity, there's a negative and a positive, and we have what? We have some electricity to work. Anyway, Chief, you know what? Thank you so much, Chief. But before I let you go, I want you to speak to a Zimbabwean who's listening to you. I first want you to address it in Shona, and then I want you to address it again in English. I'm giving you a minute for you to talk to a Zimbabwean who's listening to you in Shona and to speak again to a Zimbabwean in English.
Right, vana vezimbabwe vakateerera nyaya iri kuitika kuzimbabwe yekuti kodzero dzedu dzekuvhota dziri kutorwa neZANU-PF isi takatarisa hadzikomborere, hadzifadze. Kana usina kutsamwa sematsamwiro andakaita iko zvino, handizive kuti sei usina kutsamwa. Asi zvinhu zviri kuitika izvi zvinofanira kutitsamwisa, nekuti ndo zvinhu zvakarwirwa, ndo zvinhu zvatakarwira zvakaenderwa kuhondo, vamagamba mazhinji akafa kuti tikwanise kuenda kunovhota. Iko zvino izvi kodzero yedu yekuti tivhotere mukuru wenyika yatorwa, hakusisina. Kwete izvozvo chete, pataifanira kunge tichienda kusarudzo muna 2028, hatichaendi kusarudzo. Sarudzo dzaakuzoitwa muna 2033 nekuti ZANU-PF yati kunenge kusina sarudzo. Zvinhu izvo hazvifanira kutaurwa neZANU-PF, zvinofanira kutaurwa nevanhu. Taifanira kunge takatoudzwa, takakonsautwa, takataurwa nesu, takabvumirana nazvo. Kana isusu tikabvumira kuti ZANU-PF iti 2028 hakuna sarudzo, ko chinoita kuti vati muna 2033 yacho yasvika voti hatisi kuita sarudzo, pane zvimwe zvatisina kupedzisa zvatoda kumbopedzisa, ngatichiendei muna 2040 chii? Saka ndiri kuti vana veZimbabwe ngatibatanei, titaure, ikodzero yedu kutaura, kuti titaure kuti zvinhu zviri kuitika izvi hazvitifadzi, hatisi kufara nazvo. Tiri kuda kodzero yedu yekuti tisarudze mutungamiri wenyika, uye tiri kuda kodzero yedu yekuti tiende kusarudzo muna 2028.
Okay. So can you address that same thing in English?
Yes, I'm just saying, Zimbabweans, we are at a crossroads where there